Hi guys, and welcome back. I know I haven't covered this story in a while, but be honest, I couldn't really find a way to make this story interesting. After the last part with the event of the androids and Bardock becoming a Super Saiyan 4, I actually struggled on how to advance forward. So I've had to spend some time coming up with an idea, and after playing on and off with this script, alongside my What If Goten Was Born First script, I think I've come across a plan which I kind of like. As for the What If Goten script, it will be coming out at some point. It's a much harder story to write for, with not a major difference, it's just a personality difference, I suppose, would be a better way to say it. But I do have a plan on covering it, and whenever I get round to it, it will be out. I do apologise, and I hope everyone's looking forward to this. So let's get going. Our heroes are spending the time of peace training, leading peaceful lives. Both of Bardock's sons have trained towards Super Saiyan 4, wanting to see what the form's power is, and what it can give them. And after a while of trying, the pair eventually achieve the form, allowing the Saiyans to reach new heights. The brothers are amazed at the power in it, and while they are achieving this, the other Saiyans spend their time breaking their limits as well. However, no one can quite match the power of a Super Saiyan 4, and this is something that sits poorly with the Prince of all Saiyans. He hates how much he's fallen behind, so he trains harder than ever to achieve a power to maybe rival Super Saiyan 4. And after a while of training, he eventually achieves something which he dubs Super Saiyan 3, a form with great power. And after Vegeta had learnt how to contain the issues of ki loss to a better degree and stamina drain, he eventually challenges Son Goku, but loses still to the Super Saiyan 4 form. It drives Vegeta insane. After all this time training, he just can't pull himself ahead of them, and slowly he's fallen behind the rest of the group. The low class, Bardock, Kakarot and Raditz all push themselves further and further ahead of him, and slowly he has a hatred and anger which bubbles underneath the surface for the Sun family. As for the other Saiyans, he feels rage towards them as well, even his own brother to some degree. His brother, Tarbell, has seen a slow turn into the darkness once again, and he's been trying to help his brother, training alongside him, hoping that this power of training will propel them forward, as he tries using everything he can. Having mastered the Super Saiyan 2 form during these 7 years, he trains against Vegeta using that. However, his power is no match for Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, but Vegeta keeps training with his brother, being his best option. Over time, eventually, Trunks joins in training, with Tarbell actually spending some time to train up the young boy. But during this time of peace, Tarbell finds himself a partner one day. 2 years into the time skip, both Tarbell and Vegeta find themselves up at Mount Poundlu, when a woman with red hair came up to meet Goku with an android. This is Suno. Both her and Tarbell hit it off right from the get-go, and they start dating not long after meeting, and shortly after they have a child named Hisame. As the time of peace passes, the Saiyans grow stronger, leading a more peaceful life. However, Gohan would still go and attend Orange Star High, but thanks to the timeline being different, and thanks to Bardock being a big factor in Gohan's early life, he does keep up with his training, and he's pretty motivated at the moment. He isn't making too much ground, and has no interest in working towards Super Saiyan 4, but he's learnt the Super Saiyan 2 form and he's really happy with it. Now, the changes with the android cycle would heavily affect the life of Videl and Hercule. Thanks to the androids being slightly different, the champion is not as famous, meaning he is another champion and nothing else, not Earth's saviour. As for Videl, this leads to her not being someone who jumps in to fight crime. However, she's still very much an active fighter and trains at her father's dojo, which is enough for her to show up on Gohan's radar, and he's impressed to meet someone like Videl, who can hold her own in a fight. Gohan would still become the Great Saiyaman, and this is something still that would catch Videl's eyes. Slowly she would try to figure out who the Great Saiyaman is. However, something throws the girl off. A couple weeks into the Great Saiyaman's first appearance, another Great Saiyaman shows up. Or should I say Great Saiyan woman, who showed up only a few days into Gohan's Great Saiyaman antics. And this is Guinea. Once she learnt of Gohan being a superhero, she wanted to join in. It's a way to pay back the planet after it had saved her family, and it's also a good way for her to spend some time with her grandson, Gohan. She spent some time in these last 7 years training. After the events with King Cold and the androids, she hates how far behind she is. She doesn't care for it too much, only training slightly here and there, and not even bothering to learn either of the Super Saiyan forms, but she's definitely made some dramatic leaps and bounds in power. Gohan also loves this, getting to spend time with his grandmother, who's a big part of his life. But just thanks to the fact there's a Great Sail woman, it doesn't stop Videl's search completely. She eventually does figure it out and asks to be trained up, as Gine offers to do so. Like in canon, Videl becomes a pupil of Gohan, but more importantly his grandmother. When arriving at Mount Paozu, Videl meets all the other Saiyans and Piccolo who live up on the mountain, and she finds it slightly overwhelming learning one of her classmates is half alien, learning how there's multiple lives out in the universe, and also multiple world martial art champions that just casually know this group. With her getting taught by the Saiyans, eventually she brings up the idea of the tournament. Hearing about it, Goku is interested, as he starts to ask if the other Saiyans would like to join him. Most Saiyans aren't too interested. This is just going to be a Saiyan battle at the end of the day. They could do that at home. So the likes of Bardock, Gine, Tora, Tabo and Broly decide to give it a skip, leading to only Goku, Vegeta, Raditz and Gohan, Saiyan-wise, deciding to enter. The rest of the cast enters like normal. Now, with the group getting ready, eventually the day of the tournament comes around. Like normal, there is a kids division here, with Trunks and Goten entering. Hisame is still a little too young to be a fully fledged fighter, and is around the same age as Marin, who is born in this timeline, and really good friends with Hisame. As for Goten, I haven't really spoken about him yet fully, but he's a much more happy fighter thanks to his grandfather's influence. Now, the winner of the tournament thanks to this would be Goten. He has so many teachers and so many different areas to pull inspiration for techniques, fighting styles from. He's got people like Piccolo, Gohan, his father, his granddad, and even great uncle Tora. It just means that he's a very well-rounded fighter, with him knowing some of their very unique techniques, and also being a much stronger fighter, whereas Trunks can only really pull inspiration from his father and Tabo. Now, while the kids' division's going on, something grabs Bardock's attention. Even Tora and Gine pick on this. Around the island that this tournament's being held, they feel some familiar energies, but they don't know why they feel so familiar. At first they try to annoy it, but by the time Trunks and Goten's match is underway, these powers feel like they're honing in and growing stronger. It's enough to make the trio nervous as they start to investigate the island. They spend, for the most part, all of Goten and Trunks' match searching around, hoping to find whatever this is. But it leads them to nothing, so they eventually chalk it down to it just being nothing. Maybe all these years of battle have left them on edge, and they're just waiting for something bad to happen. So for now they choose to ignore it, and just hope that they're right, and it is just they're on edge. So they sit back down and catch the end of Goten and Trunks' battle. Bardock cheers on his grandson harder than anyone in the crowd, and when Goten wins he praises him highly. And as they all sit down to watch, the first round of the true tournament is about to begin, as we see Krillin put up against Raditz. The human is nervous, but understands his wife will kill him if he doesn't at least try to fight against Raditz. Raditz respectfully wishes Krillin good luck, having been influenced by Goku and his father to become a bit more of a respectful fighter. As the pair take a fighting stance, three hooded figures appear above them. A shout from Goku catches their attention as they look up and see these three hooded figures. They hold their hands out and then shoot off massive balls of energy which combine into a massive ki blast. The Z-Fighters don't have a lot of time to react. Bardock looks towards the Saiyans in the stands with him, telling them to defend the weak. As they nod, Tora, Broly, Tabo grab hold of their human friends. People like Bulma, Chi-Chi, Suno, Launch are all grabbed and have a shield erupt around them. As Bardock powers up to Super Saiyan, he tries to create a huge shield which will defend the crowd in the stands he's in. However, he isn't fast enough and only manages to cover half of the crowd. The ki blast hits the ground and destroys the entire island. The three hooded people stay airborne. As the dust begins to settle, all that's left of the island is the arena, which was defended by Krillin and Raditz, who had managed to save the arena just a small bit, alongside the tournament waiting area, which 18 had saved using a barrier, but nothing else. The other people in the crowd are missing, and the people saved by the Saiyans are the only ones left alive. Everyone stands quiet for a few seconds, before Goku shouts out to get all the civilians out of here, as the Z-Fighters start grabbing a few surviving civilians. Even Videl helps carrying people who can't fly, and soon, Bardock is the only one left in the area. All the other Z-Fighters had grabbed people and evacuated. Bardock had said he doesn't want these hooded guys to chase after his friends. As he stands there, staring them down, he eventually rushes towards them and clashes with the opponent in front of him. However, the figure blocks the attack, and this causes a massive surge of wind to knock the hood off the person, revealing someone Bardock had thought had died years ago. As Bardock's left muttering the name Shigesh, he's kicked in the back into what's left of the stands. Tora arrives back in the arena alongside Gine as they get a look at the person under the hood, as the other two reveal themselves as Fascia and Bargos. These Saiyans are old friends of the trio, and they assumed they had died years ago. They're so happy to see them but are so confused at what's going on. Gine shouts out for her friend Fascia. These two got along well, asking how she's alive, but the woman doesn't respond as she stares down Bardock. We were saved by the great Babidi, and we will help him complete his goal. In return, we get to avenge the rest of our race, which were killed by you, Bardock. The Saiyan looks shocked, and he doesn't know what she means. He didn't kill any Saiyan other than Paragus. As Shigesh explains, you revived only a select few of our race, leaving the rest of us to rot in hell. So we sat, training, waiting for our chance of revenge. When Frieza joined us, we were somewhat impressed. But now, our chance for revenge has finally presented itself, so here we are. Bardock looks stunned, as Tora shouts out for his friend, explaining that Bardock didn't kill anyone. He would have saved everyone if he could have, but it would have put too much attention on them, and he only originally intended to save Kakarot. It wasn't until himself and Gine tricked Bardock and knocked him out that he survived. So if they're going to be mad at anyone, be mad at him and Gine. Gine seconds this motion as Bardock feels defeated. These were his friends. These were his friends at some point, but he doesn't understand why they're like this. He was never even intending on saving himself. It was by the luck that Tora had knocked him out that he's even alive to this day. He's so grateful he is, but he couldn't ever revive them. There were rules he had to follow, and he had to abide them to even get the people he's got back now here. And saying this makes a vein pop in Borgos' head. He explains, you're a Saiyan, and we're stronger than anything on that planet, Namek. You could have brought us back by force, and then we all could have defeated and destroyed Frieza, and took our place as the rightful rulers of this universe. Bardock screams out that that's not what they do anymore. They don't destroy. They got their revenge, and now they live peaceful lives. But Fascia laughs at that prospect, telling them that they've obviously gotten too weak. Even as a Super Saiyan, this is pathetic, and him and his lineage is a waste of Saiyan blood. Some true Saiyans should have survived. Hearing this, Tora screams out, this is someone he would consider family, shouting for them to shut up. Bardock is the reason that the Saiyan race has even got the numbers it does right now. He is single-handedly the saviour of their race. As he powers up to his newly mastered Super Saiyan Kaioken, his power skyrockets as he rushes towards them, but the moment he gets close, Borgos smiles. He gets hit in the face by Tora as Fascia and Shigesh grab hold of Tora, holding him in place. Bardock is about to rush off towards them, but he feels his body can't move. It's like he's being held in place for some reason. He tries powering up to break free of it, and he can feel his body slowly moving. But by the time he's done this, Tora has been stabbed by a weird looking device, and slowly he drops out of Super Saiyan and falls into the ocean that is once an island. Bardock finally breaks free and rushes towards his friend, grabbing him, saving him from drowning, and then flies him back to a solid bit of land. He's confused at what happens as he looks around. He follows where the three friends of his just flew off to, before handing Tora's body to Gine, telling her to go give him a senzu bean and make it as fast as she possibly can. She is a bit taken aback of everything which has just happened, but nods her head as she rockets off towards Corin's. As Bardock then turns around, he's met by two people he's never seen before. A tall man who's pink and a small man who's a shade of blue. Bardock, already angry and on edge at the moment, throws a punch towards them, which is caught by Goku, who explains that they know what's going on here, and he has to listen. As Shin and Kibito introduce themselves and explain everything which is happening with Majin Buu, and they need to hurry up to intercept those three fighters, and they need to do it fast. The energy that Tora just gave off is way too much. Even Shin and Kibito weren't accounting for how much power these Saiyans had. And slowly, the other Saiyans show up and follow along with Shin and Kibito, chasing after the trio who had just flown off towards Babidi's lair. As Shin explains in a bit more detail of what's going on, explaining how Babidi is a wizard who is trying to revive an evil known as Majin Buu, the strongest thing the universe has ever seen, but he needs a lot of energy to do so. Bardock doesn't care about any of this, asking how those three are alive. Shin hypothesizes that maybe Bobbity can bring back the dead and inflict them with the Margin Curse. Hearing about the Margin Curse and learning how it can grant you some great power enhances your darkest emotions. Bardock, hearing this, understands that that must be why his friends were acting so aggressive and hatred was spewing out of them. Hearing that it also makes you a servant of Bobbity, Bardock wonders if they are actually under the spell. These Saiyans were very proud, and he maybe believes there's a chance they aren't fully under it. He hopes that his friends are still in there, as the group continues to fly off, eventually catching back up with the trio. Keeping a good distance as to not start a fight, they eventually arrive at Babbity's ship. The group watch from a distance as the trio of Saiyans they had just fought hand over the device towards a giant man and a small little wizard. As they watch for a few seconds, suddenly, the giant red man known as Deborah appears in front of them. He quickly fires off a blast and kills Kibito, before turning and spitting on both Broly and Piccolo, turning them to stone. Deborah is about to escape back towards the ship. However, he doesn't get very far, as Bardock grabs Deborah by the head and powers up into Super Saiyan, kneeing him in the gut. This sends Deborah flying backwards, straight into Babbity's ship. Shin shouts out for the group not to fight right now, they need to reserve their energy, saying how if they've already collected a large amount of ki from Tora, they will be very close to reviving Boo. But Bardock, hearing this, explains how they need to defeat them before they can give any of Tora's energy to Boo. Bardock then rushes towards Deborah, but is stopped by Fascia once again. She headbutts her former teammate, knocking him back a little bit, as Goku rushes in and is stopped by Shigesh. The two begin to fight it out, as Raditz then flies down and fights off Borgos. As the fight truly begins to break out, Gohan rushes towards Deborah, who's trying to escape back into the ship. The boy has to power up to Super Saiyan to even stand a chance against this guy. He's incredibly strong. While this is all happening, Bobbity uses this chance to escape into his ship, running as fast as his little legs will carry him, and once arriving in his ship, he teleports to the bottom, starting to give off energy towards Boo. Bardock, having seen him escape, shouts out for Shin, Vegeta and Tarbell to rush down there and deal with that small guy fast. Shin agrees as Tarbell and Vegeta rush in. They have to deal with the likes of Yakon and Pui Pui. However, they are quickly dealt with by a Super Saiyan Blast from Vegeta, hardly having to try. Shin scolds Vegeta for being reckless in using blasts like that, as he tells them they need to get to Bobbity fast, which they try to do. Bobbity, at the bottom of the ship with Boo's egg, has filled all of Tora's energy into it. It's sitting at 90%. With the battle going on upstairs, he should have enough energy, but the issue is, Vegeta and Tarbell are making good time on him. The small man begins to panic, trying to figure out what he can do, searching through everyone's heart, hoping to find something to use, eventually coming across Vegeta, and he realises he might have a shot. Up on the surface, Bardock and his sons are struggling against the revived Saiyans. They aren't quite strong, and probably wouldn't match up to their Super Saiyan 4 states, but it still takes them a few seconds to activate that form, and they can't find an opening to do so. Over with Gohan against Deborah, the boy is winning. Deborah is no match for Gohan in his Super Saiyan 2 state, as Gohan is trying to put him down, but Deborah is very durable and refuses to go down for long. Gohan tries to think on his feet, using anything he can to take him down. Avoiding his spit is being the biggest problem for Gohan so far, so for now it's leaving to Gohan having to keep his distance and try and figure out how to deal with Deborah. As these battles have only been raging on for a few seconds, Vegeta feels Babidi inside his mind, scratching and clawing away at the goodness in his heart. At first Vegeta tries to put up a fight, but slowly Babidi begins to tear and scratch away at this, eventually coming across the hatred Vegeta has for the likes of Bardock and the Sun family. Babidi uses this to his advantage, telling Vegeta he can give him the power to defeat them, just trust him, slowly convincing Vegeta to take this power, and eventually bestow upon him the Margin Mark. Tarbell calls out for his brother to snap out of it, but by the time he's noticed what's going on, it's too late. Vegeta won't listen, and turns up looking towards his brother, and Shin, lifting his hand, powering up into a Super Saiyan, and firing a blast. Tarbell has hardly any time to react, so quickly jumps in the way of Shin, taking the attack for both of them. This badly injures him, as Vegeta is then told by Babidi to come in to his office and give him the energy for Majin Buu, but Vegeta refuses, saying he won't listen to him, and he's heading off to fight the battle he wishes to win. As Vegeta blasts a hole through Babidi's ship, Babidi curses at him as Vegeta slowly flies up, showing up on the battlefield, At first, everyone's happy of Vegeta's arrival, meaning that they had probably won, right? But when Bardock sees the mark on his head, he tells people to back away from Vegeta. As Gohan sees it as well, he jumps dramatically away from Dabura, having been the closest to the Prince of all Saiyans. Everyone now aware of the mark on Vegeta's head, Goku takes the chance to realise that Tarbal's ki is dramatically weak and hardly alive. He calls Vegeta a coward, asking what happened to his brother. Vegeta just laughs, saying how Tarbal had only made him weaker over the years, and now he's strong again. He's ruthless, a true Saiyan once more. As the low-class Saiyans, having stopped their battle, look towards Vegeta, fly over to him, and bow on one knee, asking their king what his orders are. Vegeta looks towards them and scoffs a little bit, as he powers up to a Super Saiyan 3 and tells them to turn into an Ozaru and destroy this entire planet. Everyone on it must die. Vegeta then looks towards the others, who look pissed at him. Dabura, having seen everything which happens, walks towards the Saiyans, scolding them for not following the Great Master Babidi's orders. However, Vegeta quickly knocks Dabura out before dropping him back into Babidi's ship. He knows that killing him will release Broly, and right now he's got his hands full as it is. Goku is annoyed and wants to go Super Saiyan 4, but he knows it's too dangerous to do. After all, he'll be giving off way too much energy for Babidi, and he knows Super Saiyan 3 from Vegeta is probably feeding the last few bits of energy Babidi needs. So reluctantly, Goku powers up to Super Saiyan 2, a form he had picked up a while ago from Gohan. He hasn't mastered the state, but he decided to learn it just in case he ever needed it, and right now he's thankful he did. As Goku stares down Vegeta, he tells him to stand aside, but Vegeta laughs, knowing that Goku will not win in that form. Goku knows this, but he doesn't know what else to do. He doesn't want to be the reason that Boo's released. He doesn't want to give off any more energy than he already is. Vegeta then looks towards Fasha, who has fully prepared a Power Ball. He gives the order to do so, as she throws it upwards, as herself, Shigesh and Borgos all transform into Great Apes. Bardock, wanting to destroy the Power Ball fast, fires off a blast, but Vegeta in his Super Saiyan 3 form quickly blocks the attack for them, as he then lets them fully transform, as they now stare down 3 Great Apes in a Super Saiyan 3. Bardock's annoyed as he turns towards his son and grandson, telling Raditz and Gohan to head into the ship and destroy Babidi and hopefully get the Bora as well. They need all hands on deck right now, and getting Broly and Piccolo released would really help. Bardock then transforms into a Super Saiyan 2 himself, knowing why Goku has only gone Super Saiyan 2, decides to copy him. Knowing that this form should hopefully be enough, but he's also outnumbered, Goku flies up to match Vegeta, as the two lock eyes for a second before clashing. Goku begins his battle against Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and straight away he's losing the fight. He tries his best to fight all out against Vegeta, but the power difference and how unused to using Super Saiyan 2 he is making it such a disadvantaged fight. Eventually Goku decides that he needs to move the fight elsewhere. He's giving off way too much energy and he can't fight seriously with the idea that Babidi might take his energy and release Boo, and Goku can't fight properly with that on his mind. So after coming up with a quick plan, he shouts out a solar flare, temporarily blinding Vegeta, but the Prince can still sense what Goku's doing, as he sits in waiting for whatever the Saiyan has planned. But he soon regrets this decision, as he feels Goku's ki spike up massively, and a shout of Super Kaioken Variation 2 is heard. But by this point it's way too late, as Goku, using the Kaioken on top of Super Saiyan, hits Vegeta in the back of the head, sending him soaring across the planet. Goku powers down from the Super Saiyan 2 Kaioken, heavily fatigued. He only used the multiplier of ×5 in the Kaioken, but this is still way too much energy he exhausted. He's not used to using Super Saiyan 2, and on top of the Kaioken, it was way too much. But he takes a second to catch his breath and rushes off after Vegeta. He wants to avoid giving Babidi any more energy than he has to. Bardock, having seen what his son did, praises him mentally, while also holding off his former friends in their Great Ape state. But he is on the back foot. Not only is he holding back not to give off too much energy, he also wants to avoid hurting his friends since he still cares for them, and he doesn't really want to damage them too badly. Unfortunately for Bardock though, they don't share this opinion, as they very aggressively try to kill Bardock. Down in Babidi's ship, Gohan and Raditz rush towards the centre of the ship. They know Boo must be only moments away from awakening, and with Goku's battle moving away from the ship, they hope this buys them some more time, even if it's only a few seconds. The two make it to the floor where Shin and Tarbal are, with Shin trying to heal up Tarbal. With the Kai, seeing Gohan and Raditz, he screams out for the 2-0 to just forget everything he said and destroy the entire ship, in hopes that it will kill Boo. The pair agree as Gohan and Raditz transform up into a Super Saiyan and fire off a huge blast towards the centre of the ship. However, at this point it's too late. Just as they fire off their attacks, laughter can be heard from Babidi. They can hear him singing Boo's name, as the group begin to panic as they feel Boo's energy for just a second. Before they can take it in too much, the energies around them change, so does the environment. As Gohan and Raditz turn around and see that where they are is somewhere they've never been before, it's unfamiliar. Raditz spends a second trying to sense the energies of his friends and family, but he can't find them. Gohan looks around and eventually looks towards the sky and screams out to his uncle Raditz to look up. As Raditz does so, he looks up and sees planet Earth. They're no longer on the planet. As they look around and see Babidi and Boo, Babidi laughs, saying how he had to remove themselves from Earth, as he can tell through Vegeta's memories that Goku and Bardock are really strong. If all three of Goku, Bardock and Raditz were to work together, they might have been able to kill Boo. So, if he manages to kill these two, and then they'll head back to Earth. Hearing this, Gohan is genuinely shocked, but Raditz just laughs, saying how he'll just destroy Boo here then, no difference to him. With Shin shouting out from behind, letting the other two know that himself and Tarbell were brought along with them. He tells them to be careful, Boo won't be easy to kill, just be on guard, so the two have to make this super fast as well. Raditz powers up to Super Saiyan 4 with Gohan Super Saiyan 2. With the pair getting ready to fight, Raditz leads with a flurry of blows into the blubbery belly of the beast before kicking Majin Buu airborne. Gohan, seeing an opening, fires off a Masenko, which connects, exploding, causing a huge cloud of smoke to appear. And as it clears, the remains of Buu can be seen floating in the air. Raditz begins to laugh, but so does Babidi. With Raditz looking towards him confused, Babidi points up, and Buu begins to reform as he laughs aloud, saying, "That was fun, let's do it again!" Raditz and Gohan realise this is going to be a much harder fight than they could ever imagine. As the battle begins to rage on once more, the planet begins to shake from their energy. Back on Earth, Goku can sense his brother and son disappear all of a sudden and can no longer find him, alongside Babidi. He begins to panic, he needs to know what happens to them, and he needs to end this battle fast. So, hoping that everything's over, he erupts his ki enraged, worried that the worst has happened. He knocks Vegeta back thanks to it, and then he powers up to Super Saiyan 4. But Goku can feel he's weaker. The damage from the battle against Vegeta and Shigesh earlier, on top of the Super Kaioken 2, fatigued him heavily, and is now left his Super Saiyan 4 on the same level as Vegeta's buffed up Super Saiyan 3. It's now an even battle. However, Goku can tell that Vegeta is running out of steam. Super Saiyan 3 isn't made for long duration usage, so he's hoping that during this battle, he's going to be able to outlast Vegeta, and once Vegeta slips up, Goku's going to end this fast and go find his family. Vegeta on the other hand believes he can win now thanks to him and Goku being on an even footing, and he can't wait to kill that guy. Over with Bardock, he too sensed the disappearance of his son and grandson, and then since Goku turned Super Saiyan 4, he realises that now they need to get serious, so he decides to do the same. As he calls out Solar Flare, blinding the Great Apes. While they're blinded, Bardock transforms into a Super Saiyan 4, and in a quick instance, upon seeing the form, the Great Apes freeze up in fear. But Bardock doesn't waste a second, knocking out the trio, and then removing their tails so nothing like that could happen again. He quickly runs towards the remains of Babidi's ship, looking down to see nothing but the Borer, still knocked out. Bardock takes a second to sense the planet but can't find his grandson or son, so quickly he destroys the remainder of Babidi's ship, killing the Borer, freeing both Piccolo and Broly. The pair take a moment to get back their senses and then fly towards Bardock's power. He fills them in on what's happened before giving the pair orders. He tells Broly to go off and help Goku fight off Vegeta. The battle seems to be really close and they need Goku in the best condition they can get him in. Broly nods as he powers up to Super Saiyan and rushes off towards Goku. As for Piccolo, he tells his student to go towards Bulma's house, get the Dragon Radar and then collect the Dragon Balls. And hurry, they're going to need the Dragon Balls fast. Piccolo nods at his master as he flies away. As for Bardock, he grabs the unconscious Saiyans and heads towards the lookout, where he senses everyone else has gathered. Upon arriving, he fills the group in on what happened, making everyone nervous. Chi-Chi's worried about her husband and son, Bulma's hoping Vegeta is going to be okay. Suno, hearing about Tarbell injuries, pray for him. Launch is worried about Raditz, they've been having an on and off thing for a year or two now.
Gine's just freaking the fuck out, and even Vidal's worried about Gohan. But Bardock looks over to see a still heavily injured Tora and asks why he hasn't eaten a senzu. Chi-Chi, annoyed, explains how he refuses to eat any. Apparently they've only got 5 senzu beans on hold, and he doesn't want to waste one on himself. Hearing that, Bardock asks for the senzu beans, with Chi-Chi handing them over. Bardock then splits the senzu bean in half, throwing it at Tora and telling him to eat it and get back some strength. Tora reluctantly does so as he thanks Bardock, who eats the other half, getting a full heal, and both receive a small Zenkai. Tora asks how their unconscious friends are doing, as Bardock explains what happened with them and the margin mark, and how it enhances their dark emotions. Hearing this, Tora sighs in relief. Hearing everything about the margin's curse, learning that it only feeds into their deepest, darkest emotions, it means they might not be as angry as they were towards them. At least, not as much as they were showing. In the back of Tora's mind, though, he can't help but feel that they might have these true feelings inside of them, and maybe this is actually how they feel. Bardock is thinking the same, but he is too busy to think about it. As he turns back to the group, he explains how he's going to start searching for Raditz and Gohan. Turning to 18 and Tora, he tells the pair to keep an eye on the knocked out Saiyans, and if they start doing anything they shouldn't be, knock them out again. The pair nod, as Bardock, who then turns to Kami. Piccolo and Kami never had fused in this timeline. They were about to, but never did, as Bardock explains that Piccolo will be healed to Dragon Ball soon, and wait for his orders to make a wish. Kami nods his head, and as Bardock's about to head off, Goten and Trunks jump out, saying how they want to help save the world. Bulma and Chi-Chi shout out at the two boys, telling them that they are not allowed to go. But Bardock looks at the two, then looks at everything that's going on. Sensing the planet, he kneels down to their eye level, and tells them, with a very serious face, that once they leave this lookout, he can't promise them he can defend them. If Buu is as strong as Shin said they are, there is a good chance that everyone here could die today. So are they willing to die for this planet? Both gulp, but Goten bravely nods as Trunks copies his friend. Bardock tells them that they're allowed to come, and that they need to be ready for any possible battle. Bulma and Chi-Chi lose their shit towards Bardock, but Tora reminds them that Saiyans are born and bred warriors, and fighting from a young age, much younger than those two, to the death is something Saiyans used to experience all the time. As much as they hate their old ways, it's in their blood, and those two young ones will fight to their final breath. It's hardwired into their DNA. This doesn't make Bulma and Chi-Chi feel much better, as Gine then explains how Bardock will play tough, but he will die for those two before he lets a single bit of damage ever land on them. As they hear this, they try not to worry as much, and they put their trust in Bardock. Bardock's about to leave as the younger Hisame and Maron offer their help. Bardock laughs aloud, getting down on one knee once again, and tells the two that they have to leave their strongest fighters on the lookout to defend everyone. So he tells both Hisame and Maron to look after their parents and keep everyone safe. The pair nod, being pretty juvenile and young still, as they wander back to their parents and keep an eye on the knocked out Saiyan, waiting for them to move so they can knock them back out. But now, Bardock looks towards his grandson and Trunks, asking if the two are ready. They both nod as the trio fly off, searching the planet. At first stop is Goku. But that's where I'm leaving this part. Sorry it's gone on for quite a while, and there's some things I need to explain. First of all, sorry there's been such a big gap, like I said at the start of this video. But obviously, like I said, I just had a hard time writing for this, and I altered this script a lot over the time it's taken me to write it. Alongside this, I do need to explain something I probably should have explained at the start, however I'm going to explain it now. When it comes to videos which stop performing as well as they should, I would like them to be doing, I will give them a video shot. I did the same thing for What If Broly Was Raised by Frieza, and it didn't perform the best. So I plan on finishing that What If in a shorter part, just finishing it at the Buu Saga. Any story which I believe won't do too well going in Super, or GT, or a made up timeline which, you know, the series needs to end on, I won't do any further past the Buu Saga. It's mostly due with the fact that it saves me having to continue writing what ifs which aren't as popular as they used to be. Even if I love them, it means I get to end them on a high note, rather than beating a dead horse until, well, it's no longer a dead horse and it's now just a skeleton. It's what I'm considering doing with What If Goten Was Born first. However, I might do a smaller part to see how it's received, which is kind of what I'm doing with this. I'm giving this sort of a revived stage, and then afterwards I'll see how it does. But with that being said, I do hope everyone enjoyed. I hope you all have a good day or a great night. And anyone who stayed and listened to this, thank you. And let me know what you think give me any suggestions on how you think I should end What Ifs which aren't performing the best. With that all being said, I hope you all have a good day.